But if you look at the sky today, it's polluted. You can't even see the stars. And I'm worried about the pollution that has entered into our political framework. And it is because of our failing. Not, I don't want to blame A or B for that, but we collectively have failed because we've not been able to really generate the kind of confidence within the people of this country to salute those of our forefathers who dreamt for India and for whom we are here today to realize their dreams. So I'll just take a few minutes and I'll just indicate what the points are because I have only 10 minutes. So what did the Constitution framers say on the 26th of November 1950 when we, the people of India, gave to ourselves this Constitution? They said that in this country, we must secure for all our citizens justice, social, economic, and political. Ask yourself the question, sir, have we been able to deliver social justice in this country? Have we been able to deliver economic justice in this country? Have we been able to deliver political justice in this country? Look at the disparities between the rich and poor in this country. 1% of the people of this country actually have more than 20% of the national income, of the entire national income. 1% of the people of this country own 50 or 40 to 50% of the wealth of this country. That's where we are. Have we failed the Constitution? We have. We've not been able to. You may say whatever you want to say about your governments, and they will say whatever they want to say when they were in power. The question is not that. Collectively, have we discharged the responsibilities that the forefathers, in fact, desired that we should do? And I just give all of you just one sentence from Baba Sahib Ambedkar, who we talk about all the time. On November 4th, this is what he said, and I quote, "It is perfectly possible to pervert the Constitution without changing its form, by merely changing the form of the administration and to make it inconsistent, opposed to the spirit of the Constitution." You can talk all about this Constitution. The question is, how have you worked it? What have you delivered on the ground? You talk about political justice. What kind of political justice is there in this country when elected governments are thrown out through processes of money, power, and defection? What's the political justice that your elected governments, any example in the history of the world where elected governments have been thrown out in this fashion? And judgments after judgments of courts saying it shouldn't have been done. Where 356, whether it was that side or that side, used 356 for the purposes of changing governments. Has that ever happened anywhere in the world? Has anybody spoken when poor Dalits are lynched in daylight, when their videos are shown in the social media? Do the powers that be say anything? They are silent. When civil war is going on in one part of the country, has anybody spoken for them, for the women there? And then we talk about social, economic, and political justice. We talk about liberty, liberty of faith, liberty of worship, liberty of thought, liberty of belief. Where is that liberty? I can say, in fact, there is no liberty in Parliament. I tell you why. Because you are bound by your whip. What is this whip? This whip controls our conscience. If I belong to a political party, can I ever speak against it? I cannot. One, I will be ostracized. Two, I will not become a minister. So I keep on praising, whether this side or that side, because that's the way our constitutional democracy functions. Is there anywhere in the world when there is a whip in Parliament? Except for two exceptions. When the government is going to fall, when there's a no confidence motion, and when the budget is going to be passed. It's only on those two exceptions that there is a whip in political democracies. But have you heard of any democracy which says that you are bound by the whip of the party, which means you have no conscience? I have the right to speak in Parliament, no? I have to say, I would have the right to say what I think about a particular bill, but we're not entitled to speak. Is this how we are working our Constitution? What liberty are we talking about when young students are in jail for 4.5 years. And there is no choice of bail. When young girls are incarcerated for 3 years, 4 years, for what? For protesting. Is that the liberty that our forefathers gave us? What are we talking about? Liberty of thought, of worship. If there is an interfaith marriage, you bring laws to say that no, there will be an inquiry. I mean, what kind of laws are we bringing in? What kind of laws like the UAPA? What kind of law? You can have any law in this country, it can be misused. And what about your investigating agencies? Remember, no democracy can survive without institutions. No democracy can survive without institutions. And what institutions do we have? We have only a few institutions. You have the institution of parliament, and I told you how it functions. Right? You have the institution of a governor, the link between the state and the center. You know what the governors do in this country. They've become more political adversaries to the government in power. That's what the governors are doing in this country. You have the institution of the election commission. We know what the election commission does in this country. I wish there was a white paper on the functioning of the election commission. I hope that when somebody else comes to power, we have a white paper on how they have functioned. You adjourn the poll dates which are announced for polling, you adjourn it for a week, and then you give freebies. You announce freebies. I mean, you talk about EVM, sir. I'm not saying anything for or against EVM. The fact of the matter is, forget the EVM. What does the election commission do when they know that after 6 o'clock, the voting has increased by 8%, by 9%? The election commission has never explained it to the people of this country. Previously, election commissioners used to give a press briefing at 5 o'clock saying how many votes have been polled, what is the percentage of votes polled, why votes are yet to be counted, because they are coming from remote areas, there is a flood somewhere, post ballots have not been counted. Those reasons were given. The election commission is not open with people in this country anymore. So what are you doing to institutions in our country? I'm not blaming you or them. I'm saying think about it. It is the survival of our future. Unless the institutions survive, you won't survive. We won't survive. This democracy won't survive. And yet we celebrate it after 75 years because we have survived. No matter what has happened, we have survived. But you have to think of what's going to happen in the future. If this continues, we're going to be in real trouble. Then the Constitution talks about equality of status and opportunity. Sir, a gentleman here talked about digital revolution that has come. Just ask a poor child. I've been a minister for HRD. Just ask a poor child in a village in Bengal, village in Uttar Pradesh, where is the digital equality there? They don't have connections. What are we talking about? The fiber optic, sir, please allow me. The fiber optic network has not been laid yet. 250,000 gram panchayats had to be connected with the fiber optic network. It's not been connected yet. Where do you get Wi-Fi? People can't get lessons on mobile phones. So, one second, hold on. So, therefore, there is huge digital inequality in this country. And who is in fact prospering? The banks. The economic transactions that are taking place through banks. UPI. True, it's all absolutely right. But the fact of the matter is, on the ground, 70–80% of the people don't have the connectivity. I launched a product called Akash. The reason was that if we could get connectivity to people in the classroom, then a maths teacher can teach 100,000 people at the same time. Now, think of the future. You know, India is not about one man. India is about us. India is about the people of this country. And when somebody starts addressing himself as a third person, then I know democracy is in real danger. The last thing I want to say, and I think my time is almost over, is that the Constitution talks also about fraternity. So what does fraternity mean? Fraternity ultimately in Hindi language is bhaichara. Right? कि हमें आपसी कोई मतभेद नहीं होना चाहिए. ठीक है, किसी भी धर्म के हो, किसी भी जमात के हो, किसी भी कास्ट के हो, क्रीड के हो, हमें एक दूसरे से अगर एक फैमिली भाईचारा के बिना नहीं चल सकती तो देश कैसे चलेगा भैया? आप जो मर्जी करवा लो, हरियाणा में करवा लो, कहीं और करवा लो, उससे कुछ नहीं होने वाला। जब तक आपके देश में वो पीस नहीं होगी, तब तक विवाद रहेंगे, और विवाद अगर रहेंगे तो देश आगे कभी बढ़ ही नहीं सकता। द लास्ट थिंग आई वांट टू से सर,
धन्यवाद साहब, समाप्त करें।
2 minutes. Just that there are now real challenges facing us in the global community, and the challenges are the following. Previously, the imperial powers could capture us and exploit us. Today, who is capturing us and exploiting us? The global players of the world. They are capturing us because the kind of information they have about each of us, they will exploit that information to the full. They will use algorithms to actually control us.
धन्यवाद, आप समाप्त करें।
That's right.
Thank you.
So 1 second, sir. Will control us. And please think about artificial intelligence. This is the big danger to the future. It's a great opportunity, but it's also a danger to the future. Now, your government, forget about what you say here कि 370 में क्या हो गया, हमने ये कर दिया, हमने मुसलमानों के लिए कर दिया, दलित, बहुत कुछ किया आपने, बट फ्यूचर जनरेशन के लिए कुछ ध्यान तो दीजिए कि आगे क्या होने वाला है, क्या हमारे
समाप्त हुआ, भाषण समाप्त हुआ आपका, कृपया बैठ जाइए।
उसके बाद कीजिए
प्लीज,
और
प्लीज समाप्त करें,
और
समाप्त करें, समाप्त।
अपनी जो अपनी उपलब्धियां है ना, उससे कोई कुछ नहीं होने वाला, वो दैट इज द मैटर ऑफ द पास्ट। प्लीज थिंक ऑफ द फ्यूचर।
धन्यवाद श्री वाई को।
Value creation only happens when you do difficult things. मगेन बनेगा, मजा पड़ेगा,
थैंक यू। माननीय डॉक्टर अभिषेक मनु सिंघवी जी, 15 मिनट्स।
माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, माननीय सांसद, 75वीं वर्षगांठ के उपलक्ष्य में इस वार्ता में मैं एक अत्यंत सरल लेकिन एक अत्यंत विचित्र और कठिन प्रश्न के साथ बात शुरू करना चाहता हूं, और वो प्रश्न ये है कि 1930 से 60 के बीच में जो लगभग 30-40 देश स्वतंत्र हुए साम्राज्यवाद से, उपनिवेशवाद से, यूके से, बेल्जियम से, फ्रांस से, नीदरलैंड से इत्यादि इत्यादि निकले, वहाँ की कॉलोनियलिज्म से सिर्फ एक अकेला कोरा भारत है जो उन 30-40 देशों में से आज एक गौरवशाली गणतंत्र लोकतंत्र है, बरकरार है आज 75 वर्ष बाद। ये एक बहुत ही विचित्र चीज। इसका कारण क्या है? तो कई कारण है। सबसे बड़ा कारण होता है गुड लक। लेकिन अगर और इसमें देखा जाए तो मैं समझता हूं कि एक अद्भुत जुगलबंदी थी। और मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं कि एक ही कारण है। एक कारण निश्चित रूप से वो अद्भुत जुगलबंदी का है जो गांधी और नेहरू के बीच में थी, और जो ट्रिनिटी थी हमारी जीएनपी की, गांधी नेहरू पटेल की। कुछ तो ठीक किया होगा उस निंदनीय नेहरू ने, कुछ तो ऐसे संस्थागत और गैर संस्थागत स्तंभ बनाए होंगे हमारे संविधान के, जिससे आज इस 30-40 देशों में, अगर आप एशिया में देखें, अफ्रीका में देखें, साउथ अमेरिका में देखें, तो संविधान के और संविधानवाद के, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म के आपको सिर्फ खंडर दिखेंगे। उन सभी देशों में अगर एक ने वो हमको स्वतंत्रता दिलवाई और दूसरे ने उसको महफूज रखा, सुरक्षित रखा, तो कुछ तो ठीक किया होगा इन दोनों ने मिलके। तो अब देखते हैं कि ये क्या संवैधानिक स्तंभ हैं जो 75 वर्ष से इस देश को गौरवशाली बना के रखा है, विश्व का सबसे बड़ा गणतंत्र। और उसके बाद साथ साथ देखते हैं कि उनकी वर्तमान परिभाषा क्या है, उन स्तंभों की, उन स्तंभों की का वर्तमान स्वास्थ्य कैसा है, स्वरूप क्या है, आकार क्या है। Friends, the first of those pillars, the non-institutional pillars, is secularism, one of the most misunderstood, most abused words, no doubt.
Yes.
You know, it's a self-protective mechanism, idea. We do no largesse, no mercy to practice secularism. We must do it in supreme selfish national and self-interest. India is planet Earth's most diverse spot. And diversity, when the Americans talk of the salad bowl or others talk of the melting pot, nothing captures India's diversity. We have 22 scheduled languages, 700 mother tongues, 2,000 dialects. We have the world's 4 religions born here, the second or third largest of other religions in the world, and so on and so forth. What is secularism? I love Professor Bhargav's Lincolnian definition of secularism. He said, why did Lincoln say for the people? It's understood democracy is for the people. Why did he say by the people? It's understandable. It is those who elect by the people. Then he said, why did he use of the people? And then Bhargav answers his own question by saying, it is to convey a sense of co-ownership of democracy to the last man in the last row. It is a co-belonging of democracy to everyone, the majority and the minority, the underprivileged and the overprivileged. And that is the essence of secularism. And before I come to its current health, there is another word in our preamble which cross-fertilizes and reinforces it in a big way. जिसको हम ज़्यादातर भूल जाते हैं, fraternity, सौहार्द, a word far superior to the negative word of tolerance. It is a positive word which constitutionally mandates us to celebrate each other, identity. It cross-fertilizes and reinforces secularism, and it brings in all the other related concepts of pluralism, inclusiveness and diversity. अब दोस्तों इसकी वर्तमान हालत पे 2-4 मिनट बिताते हैं. इसकी वर्तमान हालत क्या है न्यू इंडिया में, न्यू बीजेपी के शासन में? सबसे पहले है भय का वातावरण, अविश्वास का वातावरण, विभाजन का वातावरण. इसके लिए कोई थर्मोमीटर नहीं चाहिए. आप भी जानते हैं, हम भी जानते हैं. सेंट्रल हॉल, पुराना सेंट्रल हॉल से लेके अल्पसंख्यकों तक ये भय का वातावरण है. वो सेंट्रल हॉल का आजकल कैंटीन हो गया है सब्स्टिट्यूट. यहाँ पर सेंट्रल हॉल तो नहीं रहा, लेकिन अपने कंधे के पीछे झांक कर बोलना, इसे कहते हैं गणतंत्र के भय को. और मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि ऐसा वातावरण 75 साल में कभी नहीं आया, सिवाय उस 18 महीने में आपातकाल में, जिसके ऊपर मैं अभी आने वाला हूं. कभी नहीं हुआ. 2 उदाहरण देना चाहता हूं इसके, फिर आगे बढ़ूंगा मैं. एक उदाहरण तो अभी पिछले हफ्ते का है, दोनों में मैं पेश भी हुआ था. प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट में क्या हुआ और उच्चतम न्यायालय ने क्या कहा ऑर्डर 3-4 दिन पहले, उसकी बात मैं नहीं कर रहा हूं, आप सब जानते हैं. उन्होंने कहा कि जब तक हम इसको निर्णित करते हैं तब तक एक प्रतिबंध रखें, एक शांति बहाल रखें, एक स्टेबिलिटी रखें, स्थिरता रखें. जो महत्वपूर्ण है कि उस हियरिंग में केंद्र सरकार का क्या स्टैंड था. केंद्र सरकार जो वैसे टेक्निकल रूप से तो एक न्यूट्रल होनी चाहिए थी, उन्होंने कहा कि ये आंतरिक आदेश नहीं दीजिए. कब तक नहीं दीजिए? जब तक आप इसका निर्णय करेंगे तब तक भी नहीं दीजिए. और निर्णय क्या था? निर्णय था बड़ा समझदार निर्णय कि नया कोई सूट दर्ज नहीं होगा और जो पुराने सूट हैं उसमें कोई भी प्रभावशाली इफेक्टिव ऑर्डर आंतरिक या अंतिम नहीं पास किया जाएगा. इसका विरोध किया इस सरकार ने. और आप बात करते हैं सेकुलरिज्म और फ्रेटर्निटी की, जब तक सिर्फ निर्णय आता है तब तक. इसका दूसरा उदाहरण, क्या केंद्र सरकार ने कभी भी किसी रूप में, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री तो बहुत बड़े हैं, गृह मंत्री भी बहुत बड़े हैं, किसी मंत्री ने भी, केंद्र मंत्री की हिम्मत हुई कि जो ये बुलडोज़र राजनीति चली इतने सालों से यहाँ, जिसमें भी एक मामले में जिसमें मैं पेश हुआ था, उच्चतम न्यायालय ने रोक लगाई कुछ हफ्तों पहले, कभी भी उन्होंने, किसी ने बोला उसके विरुद्ध? ये आपके सबसे बड़े प्रदेश से शुरू हुआ था. एक शब्द बोलने की हिम्मत थी किसी को? बल्कि आप लोगों ने, यू ग्लोरिफाइड, योर CM's glorified bulldozer as. There was a inter-CM, inter-state competition as to who is the more Rambo CM to practice bulldozer. And an award virtually was to be given for bulldozer CMs and bulldozer politics. But this is fraternity. This is secularism. Look at the statistics. Who were the victims of that bulldozer Raj? 95, 98% one community. No notice. I make a protest, I make a poster, my house is struck down. But not one of you had the guts to speak up against it. Why? Because you cannot be allowed to do that. So friends, this is the hiatus between constitution, between constitutionalism, between secularism, between fraternity, and between the reality. You really wore the democratic cloak, but you wielded the autocracy's blade. Yes. As the constitution crumbled, in the shadows you made. Because friends, when rulers play puppeteers with democratic frame, the constitution is but a pawn in that game. Let us turn to some other underlying pillars. Federalism. You know, it's a very strange country where our framers made it largely a unitary country. Somebody called it quasi-federal because of largely unitary focus. But the great achievement of India is what we call inadvertent federalism or accidental federalism. Today, after 75 years, we are much more federal in operational reality than our framers conceived of in design, in constitutional design. And this is not the place to go into it because you've had fiscal federalism. We devolved today 45% odd of the funds to the states. We started with 30%. We have Panchayati Raj. We have municipal decentralization. We have linguistic federalism, the three-language formula. We have economic liberalization. So that's a different story, but we have operational, real federalism of a far, far higher degree than our framers envisaged or created or designed. And federalism is very important for regional parties. It's a safety valve which channels the 3 Ds, discomfort, dissatisfaction, and dissent at the local level. Otherwise, like a pressure cooker, if it did not release it there, it would explode at the center. But, sir, and the Honorable Prime Minister has repeatedly used the, I don't like the word jumla for the Prime Minister, but let's say the phrase, cooperative federalism, competitive federalism. Allow me to make you smell the coffee and smell reality for 2 minutes. 2 examples again on federalism. The theoretical and the real in New India and the new BJP. State in the south, we know the name. A state in the east, we know the name. A state in the north, we know the name. I happen to be coincidentally counsel for all 3 states. 10 bills are passed by the state in the south. The Honorable Governor takes 1.5 years to decide not to decide. Because if he sends it back, as we all know, the state can pass it again. So he decides not to decide. I go to court, the court passes an order, so he then decides 1, and 9 he refers back. The assembly sends it back after 2 days, again Kumbhkarn's 6-month sleep. Then again you go to court. This time the Honorable Governor, well advised as he is, sends it to, refers it to the President. What suffers? Governance for that state. The same thing happened in the eastern state. The same thing happened in the northern state. You're all sitting there, members of those states. Now, what is the point? The point is that Babasaheb Ambedkar said there cannot be 2 swords in 1 scabbard. एक म्यान में 2 तलवार नहीं हो सकती. The elected government is entitled to make its mistakes. It is democratically elected CM who is democratically entitled to make mistakes. If he makes a mistake, the governor is not a super CM to correct him. In fact, Babasaheb Ambedkar in the next paragraph of that Do Myan Wali paragraph, he says that we are thinking of only nominating governors and nobody might be ready to accept the job because he doesn't have any powers. But today we have super CMs and somebody else, not me, called them Supari agents of the central government. Sir, another example of federalism, competitive federalism, cooperative federalism, is the CBI, this unwanted, uninvited guest who enters all our houses. Both Mr. Sibble and I are doing many cases on that. He enters a state without any consent, no general consent, no special consent, on very puerile and very strange grounds. Any number of cases. This is federalism. This is, sir, federalism in tatters. This is democracy dancing on the edge of ruin when power poisons the pillars of our constitution, of which, remember, federalism was held 30 years ago to be part of the basic structure. 30 years ago. So other pillars include the media and the bureaucracy. Sir, if you give me 2 minutes, more than 2 minutes, I've got 4 minutes I'll need. I'll be very fast.
Honorable Chairman has given 15 minutes on this thing.
Sir, bureaucracy is supposed to be the steel frame, another pillar of our constitution. Is it a mud frame or a straw frame today? Put your hand on your heart and ask. The test which is paramount is servility and loyalty. HMV is the qualifying condition, not the old records of music we love. HMV means his master's voice. Any independence is met with retribution, fear, transfer, career, promotions, transfers, etc. From a watchdog, you've made it into a lapdog. And this is a decimation of yet another pillar of the Constitution. Media. And here I blame the media much more than the government. The media typifies the Margdarshak Mandal's eminent Greece, Advani ji, who said, when we asked you to bend, you crawled. Godi media to shabd bhi 2014 ke baad hi bana hai. As this remarkable cocktail we see of overambitious anchors and media owners, pre-selected, pre-curated and pre-committed participants, motivated, slanted, distorted themes, we see this toxic triangle every evening. Sir, I call it verbal terrorism and visual extremism. But this is because the media, Godi, has been converted largely into a Godi media. It doesn't help anyone. This is an institution which was called the fourth pillar. It was called the fourth pillar without being. Press freedom is nowhere mentioned in our constitution. But it's given the status of a fourth pillar.
Please.
Sir, मेरा समय कम है, जवाब नहीं दे रहा हूं मैं आपको. Vendetta politics. India is fortunate, unlike the two ladies who can't sit in Central Hall in Bangladesh, unlike Zia and Nawaz Sharif who can't sit in Central Hall in Pakistan. We were fortunate that we did not have vendetta politics. It started in a way in a South Indian state. It then traveled to an East Indian state. It went to the Battle of the Sardars in North Indian state. But largely the central government was free from it. So today you have, as one of your biggest alliance partners, the agencies, the three agencies we know well. And today, not only the laundry factory analogy, but a very good cartoon came when the Pope said, son, if you confess, all sins are forgiven. So the Indian man standing there on the side said, no, sir, all sins are forgiven if you join the ruling party. Yeah. Sir, there are many more examples. My time is limited. I will end by saying कि बार-बार आपने आपातकाल की बात की. आप बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं, आपातकाल में गलतियां हुई हैं. मान के चलिए. मैं मानता हूं, मैं स्पष्ट कहता हूं, कांग्रेस ने पहले भी कहा है. पहली बात तो एक तर्क और कुतर्क की बात है कि ये क्या बात कि आपके 90% स्पीचेस पहले अमेंडमेंट से 1950 से शुरू होती हैं. हम आज के भारत में जो विकृतियां आई हैं उनकी बात कर रहे हैं. उन विकृतियों में हाफ अ मिनट सर, उन विकृतियों का उत्तर क्या है कि गलती आपने की या नेहरू जी ने की तो हम भी करेंगे, तो ये लॉजिकल नहीं है. लेकिन दूसरी बात, ये आपातकाल एक सीमा से बाध्य था, 18 महीने का था. जनादेश सबसे बड़ा होता है. इंदिरा गांधी के आपातकाल के बाद इंदिरा गांधी को जनादेश ने वापस चुनावित किया. ये आपातकाल एक संवैधानिक विकृति थी जो संविधान अनुमोदित करती है, संविधान अलाउ करती है, संविधान के अनुसार हुआ, गलतियां हुई, अंत हुआ. आज इस अघोषित आपातकाल की क्या सीमा है? क्या संवैधानिक प्रतिबंध है? क्या संवैधानिक कंट्रोल है? जीरो. और इसलिए सर 10 वर्ष से सर, लास्ट पॉइंट, कैन आई टेक अ मिनट, हाफ अ मिनट? Sir, I'm ending as I started, not with mere words, sir, just 30 seconds. 30 seconds, sir, 30. Please. I'm ending with what I started, not with words, with a warning. And sir, with great respect to you and to the House, I say that the Constitution, that sacred scripture of our sovereignty, is under siege. The pillars of democracy tremble as tyranny tiptoes into our temples of power. The sanctity of secularism is being shredded, federalism is fractured, and freedom is fettered. We are witnessing an era where institutions are being incapacitated, dissent demonized, and truth throttled. The custodians of democracy have become its conspirators. The protectors of liberty are now its predators. Sir, we have all to act like sentinels, and we have to all speak out and speak the truth. I'm very grateful for the time given to me.
Thank you. श्री डॉक्टर सुधांशु त्रिवेदी 25 मिनट्स।
माननीय सभापति महोदय, मैं आज का प्रारंभ जो नेता प्रतिपक्ष जी ने शुरुआत की थी वहां से करना चाहूंगा। आज 16 दिसंबर है और आज के दिन भारत की ऐतिहासिक विजय का वो दिन है जिसके लिए मैं स्मरण करना चाहूंगा उन सभी पात्रों को जिन्होंने ऐतिहासिक विजय में बड़ी भूमिका निभाई, चाहे ढाका में पैराट्रूपर्स को लीड करने वाले जनरल जे जैकब या चीफ ऑफ द ईस्टर्न कमांड जनरल जगजीत सिंह अरोड़ा या भारत के चीफ उस समय सैम मानेकशॉ और श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी। और यह समय याद भी दिलाता है कि जब कोई ऐसा वक्त आता है तो उस समय हमारे नेता और उस समय नेता प्रतिपक्ष अटल जी ने इंदिरा जी की तारीफ करके कहा था कि हम सरकार के साथ खड़े हुए हैं। तो विपक्ष को याद रखना चाहिए कि किस ढंग से समर्थन किया जाता है। परंतु मुझे एक याद आता है कि आज इंदिरा जी की आत्मा जहां कहीं भी होगी तो वो बड़ी अचंभित और स्तब्ध हो जाती होगी कि ये वही पार्टी है और ये वही परिवार है जिसके नेता के बारे में पाकिस्तान का पूर्व मंत्री फवाद चौधरी समर्थन करता है। और ये वो है जो कहता था मैंने पुलवामा में घुस के मारा है, जिनके बारे में ख्वाजा आसिफ उनके रक्षा मंत्री समर्थन करते हैं, जिनके बारे में पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री उनके इमरान खान फ्लोर ऑफ द हाउस पे बोलते हैं, और सर जिनका नाम यूएन में उनके डोजियर में लिखा जाता है। तो मुझे लगता मैं इंदिरा जी को इन्हीं शब्दों में श्रद्धांजलि दे सकता हूं कि बूढ़ा वंश इंदिरा जी का उपजा ऐसा लाल, इज्जत सारी डुबो गई है ऐसा किया कमाल। अब मैं आगे कहना चाहता हूं सर, मगर एक इस सदन में जब हम 75 वर्ष के ऊपर एकत्र हैं तो शायद 75 वर्ष के इतिहास का वो सबसे ऐतिहासिक मौका था। तो मैं ये कहना सर आपके लिए आगे सुनिए सर, आप अरे लीजिए आप सुनिए, मैं एक बताना चाहता हूं सर, एक महत्वपूर्ण बात ये थी कि एक तरफ 7th फ्लीट भेजा गया था और चंद दिनों के अंदर अमेरिका ने मान्यता भी दे दी थी। हमने 93,000 प्रिजनर ऑफ वॉर छोड़े मगर पीओके में कुछ नहीं कर पाए। चलिए वो एक अलग बात है। हमारे 54 प्रिजनर ऑफ वॉर पाकिस्तान में थे, वो नहीं मिल पाए। ये मुझे आज तक आश्चर्य है कि 93,000 दे के 54 नहीं ले पाए। सुलह की कौन सी शक्ल सुमरती रही। तो मैं इनकी पॉलिसी के लिए कहना चाहूंगा, अरे आपके नेताओं के लिए बोल रहा हूं, एक पंक्ति मैं कह रहा हूं, सुनिए, अरे बात तो सुनिए, काहे परेशान हो रहे हैं। मैं कह रहा हूं चीन छीन देश